All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into things today. First of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We're super excited to go over the new feature of inventory. And if you're not aware, this webinar session this Wednesday is for inventory management. My name is Kenneth. I'm one of the sales engineers over at Aesthetic Record. And again, I'm taking you through our new feature that we've released recently and other tips and tricks I have all about inventory. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. All right, so yes, again, we're getting into inventory management today. So first of all, what is the benefit of inventory management? Why do you even care? Well, I'll let you know why you should care. First of all, it's going to be a time saver for you. So typically without using an automated inventory system, you're having to count your stock manually by hand every day, and that can take hours to do. So instead of doing that, we have the system in place to save you some time, which frees up more time for you to spend with your patients, providing great experience and giving them the best service possible. So time saver number one. Also, it's a way to keep track of accurate stock levels, and that will also save you money because you can manage and control the shrinkage of your inventory. You know exactly what's coming in and when it's going out. Another reason will be fraud protection. You can keep theft from happening. With Aesthetic Record, if you happen to find any discrepancies, you can always refer back to your user activities log that keeps track of any user in your account making changes to your inventory so you know exactly once items are coming out. And then finally, the convenience of it all. You can access your inventory through Aesthetic Record as long as you have internet from anywhere in the world. This will also be a way to centralize everything into one area for you to access that inventory. So here are some specific features related to the control center when it comes to inventory. And the main one that we want to cover with you guys today is our newest feature, which we're super excited about. It's the inventory reconciliation report. And we'll get into details on why that's super important in just a moment. Also on your control center, you're again managing your stock directly from your inventory section. Through inventory, you're also adding your pricing for all of your different products and services. And then you're finding your reports through the control center. So to get right into it, let's talk about the inventory reconciliation. So again, this is a newer feature that we've recently released, and it's going to change the game when it comes to your inventory. So the reasons why this report is important, I guess first let's start with more like legal purposes on why you should care about your reconciliation report. And this is really depending on your state, but a lot of clients that we work with in their state, their pharmacy board mandates different items that they should have available. So let's say your pharmacy board, and this is just a specific scenario, they were to come into your office, ask you for inventory levels for a specific product on a certain day. Well, for liability reasons, you have this report to create. That way you can go ahead and hand over the information that they're asking you for. So that's one reason why you really want to have this report. Another reason why you should care about this report is that it will maintain all of your inventory records, and you're able to reconcile anything once you have a discrepancy. So if you happen to be walking, let's say you have a new shipment of Botox in and you're walking through and you're placing your vials on your shelf and you accidentally drop a vial, right? Now that all of those units are just on the floor instead of where they should be. Well, we also need to update your inventory now that there's 100 units less. So you can use your reconciliation report for that. Or maybe you've sampled items out, or you've taken a product to use as a back bar item and you've removed that from your shelf. That's another reason why you would create a report to reconcile that stock. Then also, and this is worst case scenario, but if there's theft going on in your office, you can keep track of that using this reconciliation report, because I do recommend creating one every day. That way, at the end of the day, you can see what your current inventory levels are. This will lead into our next report, which is the product sales report. So the reason why this report is important is it is a way for you to view your top selling items, either your products or services. It will also display the amount of revenue that you've achieved for that time frame. Because with this report, you can filter by time frame, and that will let you know how many items you sold on that day, what the item's name is, any discounts applied, and any tax that applies to that item as well. And this also ties into the reconciliation report as far as with the theft. So let's say it's Thursday night, and on Thursday we ended with 10 syringes of Juvederm, okay? And then Friday night you go and you create your product sale report, and or you've done your reconciliation report, and you see that there's only 5 units in your inventory. So you check your product sales report for that day, and you don't see anything sold for Juvederm on that day. That lets you know you should do some more investigation because there are 5 units missing and they weren't damaged out. You didn't, sample them out. There wasn't any other reason why for that those units to be missing in just one day. So then you would investigate and hopefully recover them if they did go home with a provider by accident, or you just know the last person logged in to use that item was so-and-so, so maybe that's a conversation to have. So that would be the importance for this report, and that will lead into the next important report for inventory, which is your cost to company. So this ties directly into product sales and your inventory, because when you're setting up your inventory, you're attaching your cost to company to that individual item. So this will show you how much you're spending on your products. This will also let you know any taxes applied to those items once sold, and any discounts as well. This report is also a good way to try to come close to a profit report. What you can do is take your net sales report that you can find under Business Insights through sales, and then also take your cost of company report. And what you're doing is subtracting the cost of company from your net sales. And again, you're getting closer to that profit sales. And this report will also be found under Business Insights through sales. You can filter by a specific time frame, and then it will tell you the specific item, how many units sold, the total amount of those units sold, your cost to company, so what you pay per unit, and then your percent of that total sales, was just basically a markup percentage. So for this example, let's say we pay our cost to company for Botox is $6, but we charge $12 for it, then you would have a 50% total sales. Then you also have your column for item discounts and your taxable amount. Moving along, that takes us into our taxes report, and this is very important for tax purposes when you're filing, however often you file. This will give you a breakdown per location, what your total tax amount is, and then again, you can use this for filing purposes. This also relates to inventory because when you're creating your inventory, any items that require a tax, you're adding that rule to that item. So that pulls through directly into this report. And this report can be found under Business Insights as well through the Sales tab. So the next report I'd like to cover is our current inventory levels report. This is a way for you to view your current stock levels on any given day. And you can use this as a way to kind of forecast your inventory. So if you see on today that you have a low level of a specific item, you know that for next week, we need to order X amount of units to stay on top of that. I also recommend using a current inventory report on a day-to-day basis. Again, at the end of the night, you can see how many units you have of a specific product to compare with the next day to control shrinkage. And this report is pulled through Business Insights as well. However, you would go through the Inventory tab to create this report. It's just the current inventory levels from that Inventory tab under Business Insights. And as you can see, it gives you your month-to-date usage versus your quarter-to-date usage versus your year-to-date usage. All right, so as we go along, the next important report for inventory purposes and inventory management is your usage per provider report. So this gives a nice breakdown of how much of a specific product all of your providers are using. It will let you know the quantity sold and the amount sold. And the reason why we want to run this report is so all of your providers are staying consistent with how much product they're using. We don't want a discrepancy with one provider using, let's say, an average of 200 units per procedure, and then you have another provider using only 20 units. And if you have that discrepancy, that would be an opportunity to provide some additional training. You can connect with that provider, do some pre-planning to see why they're not using as much of a product. Or maybe they're not being booked as often for a certain service. You can also check that from this usage report. So maybe dermaplaning, you see one provider has done 14 sessions and another provider who's also specialized in dermaplaning has only done 2 sessions. You can connect with them and again pre-plan and come up with some ideas on how to get more patients in for them. This report will also be generated through the Business Insights tab, also under the inventory section. You're creating your usage per provider report, and you can choose the specific product you're looking for, as well as your time frame, whether it's month to date, quarter to date, or year to date. So the next report here that you're seeing is the lot number report. And this is really useful for any product recalls. So with this report, you can search that specific lot number and it will give you a list of any patient affected from that product. That way you can reach out to them and contact them and update them with the situation that's going on. Now we hope that's never the case to happen, but for liability purposes, you always have this report to fall back on. This report is also generated from Business Insights through Inventory tab. And this also ties into charting. So once you're documenting your different procedures, you should be adding your lot number through the treatment summary tab. That way you'll have this report available once you go to search for that lot number. All right, so that just takes us through our little presentation for today. Before we get to the Q&A session, we will take you through the reconciliation report to show you in real time how that actually works for your office. All right, just had to make that transition over from my PowerPoint to the AR account. So now I'm just logged in on the Control Center side of Aesthetic Record. And again, I want to show you the reconciliation report in real time. So to find that report, we're just heading over to our Inventory tab. And it will be listed over to the left-hand side through this button where it says Inventory Reconciliation. And so today we're running our report for my location, Lovely Lines. And so as you can see for step 2, I can either reconcile all of my inventory or a specific few products. I'm just going to do a few products. So then once I go ahead and select my option, just 1 second here. Let me pick my clinic again. For a better view, I'll actually take you through all inventory so you can kind of see what that looks like. That's the reason for going back here. So again, this is showing me my inventory currently. And so I have my product name and my expected stock and my actual on-hand count in stock. And so if I want to change one of these, I want to find my specific product. Let's say it's Vibella, for example. So I accidentally, for this example, let's say I damaged 2 syringes, and then I need to deduct that out of my account. So my on-hand count isn't actually 90.5, it's 88. So I'm making that difference here. And then what I'll do is just click this button where it says solve. And what that will do will open the screen so we can enter a reason why. So you'll always have a running log letting you know any changes that are made to your inventory from this reconciliation report. So I can select my reason, Again, whether it's damage, a sample, another reason, shrinkage, or just theft. For this example, we'll say damage and accidentally to. And then to make sure I'm solving this correctly, we just want to make sure our in-stock matches. So I need to update my in-stock again down here below to my 88, and we're just saving. Now that item has been solved. For another example, let's say I've been using, let me find a nice product here. All right, so let's say for this Allcom clinical redness corrector, I'm using one as a sample, just as a back bar item. So I want to remove that from my, I removed one from my shelf and I want to reconcile that in my inventory. So instead of 11 in stock, I actually only have 10 in stock. So again, I'm just making that change. Under actions, we're going to click solve. I'll enter my reason why, and then my note. So again, that's already updated, so I just went ahead and solved that change. And for today, let's say those are the only two items I need to reconcile. So I'm going to go ahead and save this report and update my inventory. It's just going to ask you to review everything to make sure the changes you're making are accurate. And so after reading over, I have my accurate stock amounts now. So I do want to save that report. And this will change your actual stock actively. So real-time changes will be made. And then if I ever need to search for a specific report, after you're running your report every day, you're just selecting your date to review that information. As you can see here, it's only for this month currently, since this is our newest feature. But that will be how you can create your reconciliation report for your inventory. Now to touch on some of the other reports I covered today, I do want to show you those in the Control Center. So under the Business Insights tab, the first few reports that you will need will be from this main sales screen. So this is again where you can find your cost of company report, your product sales report, your net sales report, which you can use to subtract your cost of company from, and then your taxes report. You'll be able to find those all from that sales tab. Then the more specific inventory reports are through this inventory tab here. You can click create report to see your current inventory levels, to create that report for usage per provider, as well as your lot number report. So now that we've kind of reviewed the information for our webinar today, I want to see if you guys have any questions about what we've covered. So go ahead and send those questions in through chat. We'll answer them right now. We'll have a Q&A session for the next few minutes here. Okay, so we did get a question here. What about reconciling products for 2019? Are we able to go back? Good question. So since this feature was released recently, you'll be able to create the report every day moving forward. So no backtracking for now, but moving forward, you can always reconcile your products. And if no one else has any questions, that will end it for today's webinar for this week. I'll go ahead and end our call here, but we'll have our next webinar next Wednesday for our weekly session. It's a pleasure going through all the information with you guys today. Thank you so much for your questions, and thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.